You're listening to the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast, and I'm Lou Temlett. I know you're having a good day because either you've been on the mats, considering getting on the mats, or maybe you've seen a free deal at your local gym. I'm so happy you're here listening or watching this episode. Please don't tap out before the end. When you're highly competitive, start training Jiu Jitsu. I'd like to welcome Chris Milton to my podcast. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Lou. How are you? You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. It's nice to see you on the podcast. Thank you for agreeing to come on, because we generally only meet either at the over 40s open mats or at competitions, and you're tapping me on the shoulder, wishing me luck. And I'm going, who's tapping me on the shoulder? I don't know this person. And of course, it's you. Such a friendly face, and you're so wonderful and kind to everyone. Talk to us about what's going on for you in jiu-jitsu at the moment.
At the moment, we are smack bang in the middle of one of the busiest periods the gym has ever had. So I'm a member of Dragons Academy, as you know. This weekend, we've got an absolutely crazy weekend. We've got our first ever interclub competition. We've got 60 of our juniors competing. We're starting at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning, due to finish at 1. I hope it finishes on time, because then it's myself and one of our female members, Holly Duval, who's also a junior Olympian and will hopefully qualify for the Commonwealth Games in Judo. We are then teaching an International Women's Day event at a local gymnasium, which is something I've started doing over the last couple of years now, just to give back to the community. We've got Grapple Worlds coming up, which will have finished by the time this podcast comes out, and we've just competed at IBJJF London. So it's really busy for us at the moment. It's fantastic.
Do you know what? For a gym, and I've been to Dragons Academy, and I'm just overwhelmed with the competition, the level of competition athletes that are coming out of Dragons. Has this always been the case, or am I just literally coming in when it's all happening?
Literally, to be honest, it's coming in as it's all happening. So I started doing jiu-jitsu in 2018. People are really, really fed up with me saying it, but the first ever grading that we went to, which was like 3 months later, there was only 10 people there. And 7 of the guys had blue belts. So it was quite the intimidating time to start in the gym. And we've really, really grown post-COVID. We've blown up a little bit. I think part of the reason that we've got so big is we don't see ourselves as a gym. We're not a jiu-jitsu gym as traditional. We are a community. We realise the majority of our members are over 30 years old. We're coming there to get away from the stresses of the day. There's nothing like jiu-jitsu for clearing your mind. Let's be realistic. When somebody's grappling you, trying to strangle you, or put an armbar in, or any submission, there's nothing else that's going through your mind apart from trying to get out. No. So for us, our focus is all about the community. It's about building a place where people can just come and train. But what's born from that has been, we've got around about 10 to 15 males like myself who've been in competitive sports sort of most of our lives. This is a second chance for us. We're not very competitive in the gym. Like, you will see a lot of playing, a lot of funky stuff. Like when you came to the gym, you know, we did a load of octopus guard and we do a lot of fun type moves. But when it comes to competition day, it is quite serious. And we're very lucky. I mean, we've got Abs, Stephen Aberley, who's the head coach for Dragons Academy. Abs is double bronze medalist in the Commonwealth Games. He was the GB Judo coach. He was the Welsh Judo coach for a long, long time. So if you want to compete, you're in a very, very good place in Dragons, because Abs will help you be more and more competitive. We did have 1 or 2 early competitors. We had Ross Morgan. Ross was going all around the country at sort of white and blue belt, doing all stars and British Opens, and Ross was the first member of the gym to win a British Open that wasn't Abs. He won it at blue belt. I then won it the year later at blue belt. The same year, won it at purple in Nogi. And then we started, instead of 1 or 2 of us going to competitions, it was 5 or 6. And then that 5 or 6 turned into 10 or 12. And then we we then started the children's programs, and then the kids started going as well, and then suddenly we started looking at team leaderboards, which was crazy for us. In the last two British Opens, we've come in the top three, which for a gym our size, I mean, we've got about 120 members now.
Yeah,
But when you think about where we came from just 5 or 6 years ago, it's
yeah.
mind blowing. It really is. I mean, even the
Fa-
judo side of it, the guys come third this year in the British Open, which for a gym our size is absolutely crazy. You know, they went up against
yeah,
Camberley.
yeah. Thank you for giving me that whirlwind tour of Dragon's Academy. But you've mentioned judo a couple of times. Is that kind of a core um, sport out of Dragon's Academy as well as Brazilian Jiu Jitsu?
It's the two sports that we do. I mean, we don't really teach any wrestling. It is really judo based takedowns. Now,
Yeah,
I'm saying talking a lot about judo. I'm only a yellow belt myself.
yeah,
I started doing judo a little while ago, but I injured my knee, and it was yesterday I went back actually. It was the first session back yesterday. We have a core of youth athletes that have been with Stephen and Dragons for a long time. I mean, talking from like 7, 8 years old up to
yeah.
where they are now, where they're 19 to 21, the majority of them.
Mm,
We got Ollie Barrett, who is in the GB squad. Ollie stays up at that team, but he's very, very much a member of Dragons Academy. We got Lola Hodgson, who is up in Camberley as well. I think that's what it's called, so I might be wrong, so apologies. But she's part of the GB junior squad. And
yeah,
then we've got Holly Duval, who looks like she'll qualify for the Commonwealth. Holly's based in Dragon. She trains full time there. We've got Keelan Alwood. We've got Lawrence Hill, who's out in Montenegro this weekend on his own. And then we've got Paige Keane. So those guys are really the judo centric people of the gym. Ab
yeah,
spends a lot of time with them, does a lot of one-to-ones, does a lot of
yeah.
extra sessions to help them for the Commonwealth. Otherwise, the judo isn't that relevant in our gym, if I'm being honest with you. We are
Okay.
literally a jiu-jitsu gym now.
Mm. So, abs. Remind me of Stephen.
Stephen Aberley, you can't call him Stephen though, he doesn't like it.
Okay. Abs. You mentioned about the time frame that they've been doing. He's been kind of coaching judo, and that spans longer than you've been at Dragons Academy. Did he start out somewhere else and
Yeah.
now Dragons? Tell me a little bit. This is about your story, but just connect the dots with where the kind of progress has come from to be at Dragons now.
Yeah, so Ab started judo years ago, and I mean, I'm talking 10, 15 years ago, started teaching it. I think he moved around various different places because if you go back 10, 12 years, there weren't really dojos, was there?
Yeah,
I believe he was in CTC. Which is over the Rhondda under Wagon. He was teaching judo there. Then he moved to Aberdeen around 9 years ago.
yeah,
And then that's where it really started to take off for him. And in that 9 years, I think we're on our fourth or fifth premises now,
yeah.
which we moved in a year ago. And to be honest with you, we're at the point now where we're starting to outgrow it already. And we
I
put more
remember
mats in since you came.
I remember visiting, and you were still kind of doing renovations, and things were growing. But if you have the amount of students, even for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, let alone the kind of judo set coming through, your fourth venue, so you're already looking at a fifth, which is just incredible, considering the growth of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu as well.
It's incredible. I mean, when I started, we had a class on we had 4 classes a week. It was Monday, 6 o'clock was gi,
Yeah,
which was about four of us. And then everyone else turned up for Nogi. And it was the same on a Wednesday. And as we've grown and we've put more and more classes on,
mm,
I was lucky enough to start, and I don't think anybody would do it now, but I started coaching a little bit of blue belt.
yeah,
And then when I got to purple belt, we started putting on extra day classes. So since I've been a purple belt, I've been teaching beginners classes every 3 months. We do
yeah.
a 2 month program, have a month off, and then start again. So we do a Tuesday, we did a Friday, then we started adding in on a Thursday, then we've got open mats on a Saturday. So the gym is actually, well, it's open 7 days a week at the moment. The
Wow.
beginners courses, we've had to move to a Sunday mornings, alongside a Tuesday and a Friday. just to get the classes in, to make sure that people are getting value for money, is the one thing that really, I see a lot of people doing beginners programs and they're charging an awful lot of money for one, maybe two sessions a
Yeah.
week. If you've got a work-life balance and you can't make one session, you're not getting the value out of it. And that's where we see people dropping off. So for
Yeah.
us, we try to put a minimum of 3 sessions on, as
Yeah.
well as a session with our own members as well, to try and integrate people together. Because like I said, it's a community. We don't
Yeah.
want like a beginner's course where then people can't, they fear joining the main classes, because
Yeah.
you start talking about coloured belts, how long it takes to get a belt, and it sends the wrong message. I think we want to integrate people as soon as possible.
No, that's great. Okay, Chris, thank you for sharing so much about Dragons Academy. I want to hear more about you. And I know before we started, we've met each other a number of times at the Over 40s open mat. But you started Jiu Jitsu because you saw a kind of free offer to start out Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And you started talking about a little bit about that story before we started recording. So please feel free to share your progress and how you started out in the first place.
The honest answer is, Lou, I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but I got to that stage. I mean, I was 35. I was fat. I'm going to be honest. I was 94 kilos. Um, I wasn't very happy with myself. I'd kind of lost that competitive spirit through
Yeah.
football and rugby. You know, I was getting to the stage where everything was hurting. Not as much as it does now, truthfully. But you know, my knees sort of hurting, my back was hurting. I didn't have that spark that drives you through the week to get to your weekend, to have your sport. And I've always done sport all of my life. And
Yeah.
then I started listening to Joe Rogan, as I'm sure most people were doing at the time, and he was consistently talking about jiu-jitsu. And there was just nothing around you. There really wasn't. And then I saw that Instagram post for Dragons. It was free for a whole month of September. And on my first session, I think a lot of people do this, let's be honest, I was battered, but I
Yeah.
absolutely loved it. I mean, I
Yeah.
walked into the gym and Abs was there at the time, right? He said, right, I'll pay you up with this guy. And I looked across and there was this 6'4", 20 stone, massive, built like an absolute Adonis guy who just walks over and goes, hi, we're going to be drilling. And I thought, I'm going to die tonight. But it turns out that man has turned into my best friend. Name is
Oh,
Chris Batchelor. We talk almost every day. He's actually part of Nails Academy.
yeah.
He's a brown belt himself. He's one of the nicest people in the world. I was best man at his wedding, and we just clicked straight away.
Yeah.
After he'd beaten me to a pulp. But it was just the atmosphere that was in there. I walked out of
Yeah.
there, I was completely drenched in sweat. It was the hardest thing that I'd ever done in my life. And I got into the car, and I'll be honest with you, I sat there thinking, I don't know if this is for me. But then there was something in the back of my head that was saying, well, what is going to be for you? You've wanted to do this for a long time. It's going to be
Wow.
hard. You need to push and go
Yep.
through it.
Yeah.
So I did. I went back, and then I went back again. And then I think I'd been about a month into it, and I stepped on the scales
Yeah.
and I was 86 kilogram. I thought, oh my God, I've lost 8 kilos here in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I started weighing myself after every session. And then my diet started changing. You
Yeah.
know, I was drinking quite a bit at the time. If I'm being honest with you, I was probably drinking a bottle of whiskey every 3 to 4 days, just in the evenings, having a couple of glasses, which you'd be surprised how quickly it goes. But
Yeah.
then I started cutting down on alcohol. I started eating much better. I started cutting alcohol out throughout the week. And
Yeah.
then over time, I just stopped drinking altogether. And it just, jiu-jitsu has changed so many things in my life, but it actually changed it at a very early start, a white belt,
Yeah.
mostly because I didn't want to get drunk on a Friday night and then go to open mat on a Saturday and be
Yeah.
absolutely knackered and not be able to do it. It's absolutely incredible.
I want to just pause you there because you said something really quite fundamental. Being sat in your car and feeling like maybe this is for me, maybe this is not for me, but what else is going to be for me? I think sometimes in masters divisions, which obviously we now know we are, if you're over 31, you're in a masters division. You might have had children, you might be reflecting on your life, trying to find something to do. And it sounds like there just becomes a point where you have to choose something and get on with it. And jiu-jitsu was that thing for you. Was there anything else that you could have chosen to do instead of jiu-jitsu at that point?
At that point, I was actually a pretty decent golfer. I was playing off a handicap. I think it was off two. Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe I was at one other time. I was sort of flirting between the both of them. I could have stayed and done that. I
yeah,
could have gone back to football. Um, I just, it was always in my head that this was a sport I'd wanted to do. I mean, I'd watched UFC since the UFC come out. I remember
yeah,
being sat in a pub watching BJ Penn fight in Abu Dhabi, and the whole pub wanted to watch something else. I was like, no, 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 we're keeping it on. Um, I really do enjoy combat sports. I used to be a boxing aficionado. I used to have a hard drive that had over 3,000 fights on. I got rid of it years ago because I stopped watching boxing.
yeah,
But I've always been absolutely fascinated with combat and combat sports and
yeah,
martial arts. And I just thought to myself, if you're not going to do this now,
yeah,
to be honest, I didn't want to go home and face my wife and just say, oh, no, it's too hard. Because that's just not in me to turn around and say something is
yeah,
too hard. So I kind
yeah,
of gave myself a boot up the bum. But the other thing that really pulled me in as well was Abs. He sent me a text on that night, and he literally said, it was about 9:45 in the night. He was just about to go to bed, and the text come through from him. He said, no, tonight was tough, but actually you did really, really well. And I was like, oh, that was really nice.
yeah,
And then it was the next day, Chris Batch. He texted me and went, hope you're coming back. We'll work together again tonight. And I thought, oh, I bet you hope I'm coming back. I'm half your size. But and that was me texting back to him. And then he come back to me and he
yeah,
was like, no, no. He laughed, but it was like, no, come on, come back.
yeah,
And it just went from there. And I
yeah,
mean, even if I sit here now and I think of all the people that were in my life at that time,
yeah,
the majority of them are no longer in my life.
yeah,
My entire circle now goes around
mm,
people who are in the gym, and it's people you would never have thought of. Like my
yeah,
close circle of friends, Richie's been on your show. So I've got a tattooist, I've
yeah,
got a barber, I've got a mortgage advisor, I've got a personal trainer, I've got a carpenter, and these are
yeah,
my best friends in my life.
yeah,
One's an accountant. I got another one who's a prison custody officer. Another one works in the prison themselves. There's
yeah,
such a variety of people that I probably would never have spoken to before,
yeah.
um, and it's just turned into my life now. If I'm being honest with you.
I love it. And I think you mentioned obviously Dragons being community focused, but when you have the head coach, when you have your training partner dropping you a message after that first session, that just then solidifies the culture and the kindness that comes out of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that absolutely should not ever be overlooked because it's there. But it really does sound like they reinforce that come and be part of this. We want you to be part of this. And we all just want to be wanted in life, whether it's, with family or with a club or with, whatever it is, feeling that sense of identity just takes you out of yourself.
Absolutely. You know, I say we, it's Abs is the head coach of Dragons. I don't think you'll mind me saying I'm kind of his assistant coach. I teach Tuesdays and Fridays in the gym now, and I'm the teens coach as well. We want to make sure that everybody who walks through the door, this sport is hard. Let's make no bones about it. This is
Yep.
hard. You are either the hammer or you are the nail. And most of us are the nail quite a lot. No matter what belt rank you are, there is always somebody who is better than you. And the higher you go up the belts, the harder
Yeah.
it gets, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I
We
do love
understand what it. Go on.
I love the fact that you always mention the hammer and the nail, and it makes me smile because I know a lot of people quote it, but you more so than anyone else I know, either you're the hammer or you're the nail. You can't actually be anything else in the sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Something about toughening up, I think, probably.
It's, you can win whatever tournament you want, or I can win whatever tournament I want. I know I can walk into my gym
Yeah,
and Brad Allen will grab hold of me and make me forget what I've won. I've got Abs who will he will twist me in a variety of knots and laugh while he's doing it. There is always somebody that will bring you down a peg or two. Last night we went back, we did judo, got Holly
Yeah.
Deval. I've known Holly since she was 13, 14 years old. Lovely girl, fantastic athlete. She comes up to me at the end. Come on, do you want to do some stand-up? She was expecting me to say no. I was like, yes, go on, we'll do it. Lou, she moved so quick, I didn't know what she was doing. Genuinely, we were there, we had grips 1 minute, and then I was on my bum. And then we stood back up, we slapped hands, and we grabbed grips, and then I was on my bum again. And then she did it again. I was like, Hol, what are you doing? And she showed me, and it was great. But there are so many people that can make you realise you need to stay humble at all times. You have to in this sport. I mean, I've been put to sleep in competitions twice, so you can't go walking around boasting about anything because there's pictures out there of me taking a nap.
We'll come back to that in a minute, Chris.
This episode is sponsored by Dragons Academy. Dragons Academy is more than just a gym. It's a community. It's a competitive hub for winners. Dragons offer judo, jiu-jitsu and no-gi grappling for everyone. It's a place that thrives because of its people. From white belts through to black belts, everyone is supported to grow and achieve, not just for the club, but for themselves. And when there are celebrations of achievement, everyone is welcome. Making Dragons Academy the place to be, whoever you are. When you're ready to make Dragons Academy part of your family, head over and follow them on Instagram @dragonsacademy_.
This is the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. Keep checking out the clips that drop as soon as I've recorded an episode, usually way before the episode gets released officially. All of those clips are over on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Remember to go and like and subscribe. Today, I'm having a conversation with Chris Milton, who has just admitted that there are photos of him asleep.
Yep, on the mat. The first one was my second ever competition. So it was at the Cheltenham Open. I think I was fighting at 88 kilos at the time, so I was still coming down in weight.
Yeah.
And all I remember to this day, because there was no coaches there was no support. It was the day before the world shut down for COVID.
Oh, gosh.
And all I remember was the guy pulled guard on me, and he had a grabber on my collar and his legs were open. So I thought, right, I'm going to jump over now into side control, which is something you never do. And I just woke up. That's all I remember is waking up. And it was a gentleman who still refs, he's Polish. And he was just like looking down at me going, get up. And I was like, what's happened? And he went, you lost, get up. I was like, but what happened? Why did I lose? And he went, you're not very good. You white belt, get up. So I got up and walked off, but there's no actual camera footage, but I know there was a photograph of me like that that they put up on Facebook the next day. But then the world stopped and I never actually saved it. I might have to try and find that because I think it's a good reminder for the guys in the gym, actually.
You will. That feels, you've kind of taken us through that journey of being, I've never been put to sleep. Touch wood yet. I am very good at tapping, but being gripped, thinking you're going to do something and then it not happening, and then waking up on the mats, and then the ref going, "Get up, you've lost. You're not very good." It's like, oh my gosh, I feel really bad for you, Chris, that was the reality. But did that change how you felt about competing?
Not at all, because I'd be honest, I didn't know what happened. It was only then when I walked off that my friend Ross at the time, he was like, oh, mate, you went asleep. I was like, did I? And he was like, yeah. I was like, are you sure? He's like, trust me, can you remember anything? I was like, no. And he went, well, you went asleep then, didn't you? If anything, it just drove me more, because I was like, I've lost. And I don't like losing, Lou, whatever it is. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure people can relate the amount of PlayStation controllers I've smashed over the years. I can't play the computer anymore. I stopped playing it years and years ago. Because just the frustration will come out to me. But the good thing about jiu-jitsu is whenever you lose, and I know people talk about, oh, you don't lose, you only learn. If you think about jiu-jitsu the right way, it's always true. Because you're losing because of something that's happening. Now, if the person's much better than you skill-wise, ask them a question, ask them how
Yeah.
they did it. How did you end up in that position? Because what you'll find is you think that they set it up a second before. They may have done it 20 seconds before and just taken you through a series of events that had ended you in
Yeah.
that position. The second time I got put to sleep was in the British Open. Semi-finals against another one of your former guests, Mr. Neil Walker. At the time, it's not an excuse. I'd literally just torn my knee ligaments. I shouldn't have been fighting. But I wanted to do it because it was a British Open and I was a reigning blue belt champ. And I thought, you've got to kind of do it. Abs tried talking me out of it for weeks. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it. And to this day, all I remember is Neil locked a triangle up. I think it was 9-0 up on points. He locked a triangle up. And I was more worried about my arm because he had my arm. And then I woke up. And that's what I remember. Ab said he thought I tapped to the armbar, but genuinely all I remember is looking like this, going, something's not right here. And then Neil was genuinely shaking me. He's like, are you okay? I was like, oh, hello. Guess not. Guess I'm not okay. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. So 2 major competitions and falling asleep, not because you're tired or exhausted, but because you've just been choked. So you also mentioned about talking with your opponent and asking what they did or how they kind of put that move on you. Has that always been a way? Because you're incredibly friendly, you're very approachable, you love talking, and anyone listening to this episode will know that. But I'm not digging, Chris. I'm not digging at you. But have you always reached out and spoken with your opponents after or before matches?
Yeah, it was again, going back to when I first started in Dragons with Chris Batch and with Abs, is something that they've always drilled into us. If you're losing, you need to figure out why. If somebody's doing something better than you, what are they doing differently? Because sometimes it could be the difference between gripping here and gripping there. It where somebody puts their hands. It could be their footwork. You can learn something from everyone in this sport. You will see white belts in your gym, for the people who are watching this tonight, drilling something you've been drilling for years and they are doing it slightly better. And I think you always have to have that attitude. I've seen, and people who were better than what I was 2 to 3 years ago, still at the same rank now, because they still refuse to learn anything new or to do anything different, and you just get stuck. And I genuinely believe that if you have an open mind and you can try and take bits away from all of your opponents, even the ones you beat, you can beat quite easily. Everybody's got something that they're really good at. We all specialize in something, especially the longer that you go in jiu-jitsu, the more and more of it that you do, your game starts to form. It's something that happened to me over the last year and a half. I've started playing butterfly guard an awful lot more in both gi and no gi. It makes it a bit comfortable more for me. So I've started finding people who play that particularly well and then picking up conversations with them. Or can I come and train with you? One thing about Abs, he's always championed us to do is to go and cross-train. I know that used to be a bit of a faux pas and still is in certain Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gyms, but not in ours. It is a case of, we are under the Pedro Bessa umbrella. So there's so many different gyms under that it's pretty much free to train absolutely anywhere in South Wales. I mean, Pedro basically took over Wales at one point. So we've got so many different gyms and so many great people out there that are always going to help you. I remember we did an over 40s open mat and we went to Celtic Pride. So I was a little bit cheeky and I dropped Greg Creel a message like, Greg, you teaching? And he's like, yeah. I was like, can you teach some deep half guard for me? Because it was something I was personally struggling with. Yeah, absolutely fine. And it's little things like that will really help.
Yeah, I remember that session. We will come on to the over 40s, but being able to open up and communicate with your opponents, and you mentioning about kind of being quite humble, that really is the removal of the ego, that you can use your personality, almost echoing Abs and Chris's communication, all but via text in the first instance. It really seems like it's set a tone for how you've operated in the sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, both within your gym and competitively. Now, you've just received recently your brown belt, so congratulations. I know it might be a few months now. And it was such a pleasure to see you show up at the over 40s when we went over to Newport MMA, and for Rob to kind of, give you your goodie bag, because there are all sorts
He's
of
awesome, isn't he?
lovely things at over 40s open mats. And if you are over 40 in any area of the UK, make sure you search up 40 plus BJJ open mats. There are a number of different chapters: southwest, southeast, and north, either west or east. I can't really remember. But I've been to 2 of them. I've still got to make it to the southeast. How important is it to continue the community outside of our own gyms in open mat settings like the 40 plus, Chris?
It's massive. I genuinely think that the job of, obviously I can only talk about the ones that we go to, the Rob Rutter runs, but I genuinely think there's people in that community who have been kept in jiu-jitsu through these open mats.
Yeah.
Rob, I'm always on to him within 2 or 3 days of one ending, going, right, when's the next one? I know that running the open mats for Rob himself has really, really helped him and kept him involved in jiu-jitsu. When he changed gyms back last year, it's the over 40s open mat. It's a bit of it's a crazy one, because when you go in there, you've got loads of people who are hobbyists. I mean, we're all hobbyists. Let's call a spade at our age.
Yeah.
But then you go and you see, like, you've got Andy Ayres and you've got Scott then, who are right up there in IBJJF. You've got Andy, who has won, I think he's won the Worlds at Purple, and he won at Brown. He just got to the final of the Europeans where he lost a Megaton. You've got Scott, who I'm pretty sure he won the Euros just now at brown belt, just a couple of months after having his brown belt. So you've got some really high level people in there.
Yeah.
But the good thing about that community is, and I mean, when we just went to the last one at Kin Jiu Jitsu, I think it was.
Yeah, over in Bristol.
We stopped for about 10, 15 minutes, and there was loads of people talking about different techniques. And that's, for me, where I get so much more out of it.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing guys who have done a variety of sports for years and years. You've got black belts who've been black belts for 10 years, who are able to go through different moves. You can help people. You can see, like, the lady that was there last time, Julie, I think her name was. She was very, very nervous. So just went over and helped her, and turned out it was Fion's mum.
I know. We get all sorts of people coming through, but I think one of the unique things about the 40 plus open mats is that there is so much, there's just a wealth of experience in black belts and kind of higher ranking individuals, but equally still the throughput of the white and blue belts like myself, and being able to just have a conversation, a quite honest conversation, and get some help. Because some of the other open mats that I've been to, everyone's trying to smash each other, and it's very, very competitive. And whilst there is that competitive spirit in mindset, there's just more learning going on with the over 40s, I feel.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think in the over 40s, I think there's a few of us who know, we'll have a role, we'll have a competitive role, but the people to have that with, if that makes sense. Whereas there's so many other people who have just started jiu-jitsu, like yourself, the white belts, there's new blue belts there. What the majority of people, they just want to keep people in jiu-jitsu. They want to help, they want to support, they want to make sure that the community continues to grow. Like you said at the start with Rob, and he gives out his gift bags. I mean, he's doing this out of his own pocket, really. He's doing it to really welcome people to the community, to celebrate their achievements, to celebrate a birthday or a promotion or a competition win. And it's really nice, because you kind of look forward to go into those, not like, I've been lucky to have a few of those gift bags off Rob, but it's nice going there and seeing what other people have achieved and celebrating that as part of the community as well. And the amount of people that I talk to through the over 40s community that I would never have spoken to normally is absolutely incredible. Like, nearly every competition I go to now, there's 20 or 30 other people that are there that are through these open mats that we've met, that you just start to join up, you start to click. I've ended up competing against a couple of those as well. It's just a fantastic community, and Rob has done a brilliant job with it.
Yeah, he has. And he will also say that it's all of the individuals, all of us that are part of it, that are making the community, because communities aren't built out of one person. But I think just having an environment where anyone and everyone, obviously over the age of 40, I've got a number of friends that are still in their 30s that can't wait to join the over 40s community. But I think the real mindset is the fact that, you know, if we started or not been training for that many years, and certainly not black belts, we want to be in this sport for the longest time. And that's just the difference, I feel. You know, we want to be here forever. And I'm not convinced that if I started in my 20s, that I would have that mindset of wanting to be doing this forever, because life happens, relationships, children, work, travel, all of those things kind of come into play. But I feel like if you're over 40, and this may well be for other age groups as well, life feels like we want more consistency and reliability, and jiu-jitsu gives us that.
Absolutely. I mean, my majority of my life tends to go around jiu-jitsu now. Me and my wife at the moment we're having a little bicker because she's booked our summer holiday on the weekend of the British Open. So it looks like this year I'm actually going to miss the gi open, which, you know, I'm focusing on no gi at the moment, so it's not all that bad. But yeah, my
we'll
whole
leave that
routine.
bit there.
We'll leave that bit for there. But yeah, no, my whole routine is all around jiu-jitsu. I mean, it's I train personally 5 days a week. I do have 2 days off. For those 2 days I am teaching. So I don't tend to do anything on those days other than teach technique. But it's a brilliant sport. It really is. And just to go back to that over 40s in the community, to go back, you're either the hammer or the nail. And when you walk into those environments and see so many higher grades, even when I started going, which I think I started going when I was a late blue belt, it is intimidating because when you are a white or blue belt and you see a purple belt, it's like spotting something in the wild. It's like, oh, where's that come from? I haven't seen that belt before. And then you see a brown belt and you're like, oh my God, look at him. He's a brown belt. He's been doing this, or her. And then you see someone that's a black belt and you're almost afraid to talk to them. And because that is a lot of the way jiu-jitsu used to be, you know, you weren't allowed to ask higher grades for roles. In our gym, it's totally the opposite. We get offended if you're not asking for roles because the higher grades won't ask anyone else for a role. We will stand and wait to make sure that other people know it is okay to come and ask us for a role. And that's what we try to drum into our own community is the outcome of the role isn't important. What's important is that you get in there and just have some fun and enjoy it. You know, male, female, whatever age you are, just go in and enjoy yourself and learn a little bit and forget about the stuff that goes on outside of it.
I love it. Well, I think we all love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is why we're here, which is why we're watching and listening to podcasts. But you mentioned about doing a lot of no-gi. Now, I rarely, over 40s, it's mainly gi. There aren't very many of us that kind of delve into the no-gi. But what particularly do you like about no-gi Jiu-Jitsu?
To be honest with you, I love jiu-jitsu full stop. If I wouldn't make a choice of one or the other, I would always want to do both. What really happened for us is we were a mainly gi club up until probably around January last year when Polaris Uprising came around. And that came around. I was given a match on there. Brad Allen was, and so were Holly Duval. So the three of us were given matches. We realized that actually we better focus a little bit on no-gi here because we don't really do it. So that led to me sort of, instead of sitting down and watching my Wadzinski instructionals, which I've been watching non-stop, I was then started watching lots of different no-gi. And that's just carried on all of last year and then into this year, really. And it's just because it's newer, it's a bit more fresh. I do actually prefer it at the moment, but if you're asking me in 2 weeks' time, I'll probably prefer the gi.
Good. Well, thank you for that, because you have a no-gi match. By the time this episode goes out, it will have happened. I will be seeing you on Grapple Worlds because I am one of the guest commentators on Grapple Worlds. The secret is out, but obviously it will have happened by then. Talk to us about your mindset going into Grapple Worlds and how you're preparing.
I think one of the biggest problems that people have in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is they focus on an event or they focus on a match.
Yeah.
I don't care, genuinely.
Yeah.
I train exactly the same no matter what is going on. The only difference is I may pick my sparring a little bit more selectively. So if I'm a couple of weeks out, so probably from Monday, I won't roll with many white belts. Not not being nasty. I will tend to look at more of the brown and purple belts within the gym,
Yeah.
and then go, listen, guys, I got grapple wheels in a couple of weeks. Can we just focus on having a few rolls? And that's literally it. That's the only thing that I'll change.
Yeah.
I don't change my mindset. I'm not a massive fan of points. I think the points, I can understand there's got to be a way of winning jiu-jitsu. But like I just competed in IBJJF. I ended up having to do the absolute because there was nobody in my weight class.
Yeah.
And I've gone up against people 10, 15 kilos heavier than me and they're trying to stall a match out. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
We're paying a lot of money to compete here. At least go out in your shield, go out and have some fun. I'd rather get submitted 20 times than win a match that's really, really boring. One of the regrets I've got from competing at the moment is the British Open in the gi this year. Yes, I won it, but there was a couple of my matches that were pretty boring. If I'm being honest with you, I got up really early on points. Opponents didn't really want to do anything. I was in a winning position, and then you kind of just stuck there. And I feel like that's why jiu-jitsu is not as spectator friendly as it could be. You go back to like Polaris squads, not the last one, but the one before, where I think it was Europe and Oceania maybe. They were just flying at each other, trying to get submissions, 5-minute matches. How exciting was it? And that's what you want to do. You want to put on some exciting matches. You want to get a crowd going. I don't really change. I just want to train and just have a match. It's win or lose. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
I love it. Your mindset sounds comprehensive, very accomplished, but actually quite simple for the rest of us to, adopt something similar in terms of the community training jiu-jitsu, regardless of whether we've got a match or a competition or an invitation or not, being consistent throughout that. And long may it last.
It's the thing is, right, you can focus on, so I could focus on this match in Grapple Worlds and I could put everything into it. But what happens if he catches me with absolutely something I've never seen before? Couldn't have prepared for it.
Yeah.
You then can't blame your preparation. I think so many people talk about, I'm going to go into a camp and I'm going to do this, and you totally change your own mindset. What's got you to the dance is dancing. So just go out there and dance. And I am really simple. I don't want to say I'm simple-minded, but it is really, really simple. And I think that is why Dragons Academy is as successful as it is, because we've all kind of got the same mindset. Just go in and have a roll. There may be another edition going on to Grapple Worlds from our gym, and it's literally someone who messaged me this morning and said, do you reckon they need a replacement at all? I fancy a match. I'm not going away now. And that's it. There's no thought process. There's no, who is it? Let's check the opponent. All I know is the guy I'm fighting is Eric Smith. I know nothing about him. Nothing at all. Good luck to him. I hope he's a wonderful guy. I hope he loses on the night, but I hope he has a wonderful life afterwards, and that's about it.
Chris, I'm always heartwarmed by having conversations with you, and this episode recording is no different. I cannot wait to see you on Grapple Worlds and at Over 40s events and all the other competitions. I wish you all this continued very consistent success and no more sleeping, please, Chris. But if that happens, then that's okay. You'll come back the next day. How can people follow your journey?
I am on Instagram on Chris Milton 9. I'm not on any other social media. Otherwise, you can see us on Dragons Academy. We are on Facebook. I think we may be going on to TikTok, and we're on Instagram as well.
Amazing. Chris, you are just incredible. Thank you, and continue to be as incredible as you currently are.
Thanks, Lou. Thanks for having me on. It's been really good fun. I was really nervous when we come on, but this has been awesome. Thank you so much. And keep doing well yourself, because you don't talk about yourself enough. You're absolutely smashing it.
Thank you. If you got this far, thank you so much for listening. And as always, go and check out the clips, YouTube, Instagram and TikTok. And remember to subscribe, because I'd really like to hit 1,000 subscribers in 2026 for the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast and all the others. Thank you again for listening. Catch you on the next episode of the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast.